At a time when so many women struggle with period pain, hormonal imbalances, stress, fatigue, or just overall feeling disconnected from their bodies, Dr. Felice Chan brings a perspective that has been used for thousands of years. Dr. Chan is a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. She's also board certified in acupuncture and herbal medicine, who uses thousands of years of wisdom to help women understand how their bodies truly work and to treat the body as a connected, holistic system. Today, we talk about menstrual cycles, hormones, emotions, and today's health and wellness trends. So let's talk Chinese medicine. Dr. Felice Chan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
If you guys don't, thanks. If you guys don't know, Dr. Felice Chan is a Chinese medicine practitioner. Yes, she has a practice over here in Los Angeles, California. So that's very exciting. We need more of that. For anyone who has never been to a Chinese medicine doctor, how would you explain what you do in simpler terms?
Yeah, so Chinese medicine can feel complex and overwhelming for a lot of people. I mean, it's a medicine that's been around for 5,000 of years. So how do we translate it to modern world? But basically, being a Chinese medicine doctor, we help with 4 pillars, right? We help with anyone's health through acupuncture or acupressure. You know, go into the clinic to get an acupuncture treatment, but that's not all you get. So that helps rebalance imbalances, so it can help with anything, but we also incorporate Chinese herbs. So a mixture of Chinese herbs that work synergistically together for a certain ailment. And then you also will get, lifestyle adjustments and advice because nutrition is important. Lifestyle advice that emphasizes rest and balance and nervous system reset is really important for overall health. And then obviously food is medicine because it's how we nourish our bodies. It's so delicious. And so with those 4 pillars, that's how we share the medicine.
And for anyone who doesn't know, what is acupuncture and acupressure?
So acupuncture in a nutshell is a way to activate your body's vital energy we call qi. So it exists in our body and it runs through our meridian system. So we have, oh my gosh, I used to have this little life-size, meridian doll. I should have brought that. But anyways, imagine a little doll so you can see the whole body. But we have meridian systems or channels that run through our entire body from head to toe, hands to feet. And so these are channels that exist. We can't see them. We can feel them once you tune into acupuncture. So acupuncture has, over many of years have found certain energy wells. And so when you insert a certain needle or massage a certain point, it activates this meridian system to then heal the body and create a free flow of qi or energy.
I like that. So basically, from my understanding, Chinese medicine, I feel like Western medicine kind of looks at the problem and treats the problem. But with Chinese medicine, you kind of look at the whole problem.
Absolutely,
you
yes.
know?
It's very much holistic. And
Okay.
I mean, I think you said it so well where Western medicine is compartmentalized, right? So you have a heart doctor, a, ears, nose, throat doctor, a gynecologist. Chinese medicine will always integrate all of it. So if you're having heart palpitations, it's very much related to our gynecology or even eye issues because these meridian systems run through all of the body systems and organs. So it's very much holistic.
How is Chinese medicine different from Western medicine? I know we kind of brushed on that topic, but if you could go a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say they almost run in parallel or in tandem. Western medicine, again, is very compartmentalized. It's all about, breaking down certain parts of the body and fine-tuning it and analyzing it, which is amazing and very necessary. It's amazing for emergency medicine. And most of the times it's to treat a certain, disorder or ailment that has been diagnosed, right? Through medication, for the most part, with the pharmaceutical world that we live in. Whereas Chinese medicine is completely opposite. We, instead of, putting a Band-Aid to solution, it's getting to the root cause. So why are you having headaches? Why do you have PCOS? Why are you having, recurring pain in the body? What is that root cause that we can address? So then the cascading symptoms start to dissipate, right? And so, for example, if you're having brittle nails and hair, blurry vision at night, lightheadedness, that's all tied to the same root cause. So when we address that, all of the symptoms start to dissipate. It just takes time. There are kind of medicines where Western is pretty quick, in terms of helping with the certain ailment, whereas Chinese medicine, it takes consistency and time to reset the body.
And can you explain how traditional Chinese medicine views women's health differently from Western medicine?
Yeah, absolutely. Women's health is so sacred. I love this. I mean, in Chinese medicine, again, it's the root cause, right? Women's health can be complex, and I'll bring in an example of, you go to a gynecologist, you get your checkup, they do a pap smear, they make sure that your hormones are regulated with lab tests. They kind of use strict parameters to understand whether you're healthy per women's health standards, whereas Chinese medicine, it's less about, let's do all these tests to see whether you're in balance or in line, but what are you experiencing at the moment? How can you tune into your body to then prevent anything from happening, right? Because in Chinese medicine, everything that your body is going through is it's information of what imbalances are happening. For example, if you have period cramps or PMS symptoms, it means that your body's off balance. So how can we address that? So then, you don't suffer from PCOS in the future or endometriosis. How can we catch it early? Because in a sense, it's preventative, but also, a treatment-based medicine.
And while we're on the topic of like periods, I feel like, from my experience, like growing up, you weren't really taught about your periods.
Yeah.
From a young age, they sat you in class while you were in middle school.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, this is the age that you're usually going to like start bleeding. When you bleed, like this is a pad, this is a tampon.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
And like now, while I'm older, like in my 20s, now I'm kind of learning that like it's not only that 1 week. Like we have other phases that we go through, which is so like funny to me because it's like, why are we like not teaching anyone? Like, why is this something that's like very hush hush?
Yeah.
It's like frustrating as a woman.
Yeah, it's fascinating you say that because I grew up in Hong Kong and it was a little different. I think through school, it was very much like, here's sex ed, here's a tampon, you figure it out, you have period cramps, take a Midol, Whereas in Chinese medicine, through my household, it was different. It was, how can you naturally cure your period cramps and why are they happening? Like let's say cramping happens if your body is cold, there's stagnation, there's no blood flow. So then my mom would give me ginger tea, or she would say wear socks because our meridians or channels that start in her feet go into her uterus. So cold feet means cold uterus, meaning cramps in Chinese medicine. It's covering the low back because our kidneys and our womb is in this area. So how do we protect it and keep it warm? Because warm means flow of energy, whereas cold means stagnation. So it's little tools like that where I remember my mom used to share it with me and I'm like, okay, this is so applicable and it's so helpful. And I feel grateful and lucky that I never had bad cramps. I don't really experience it. And I think it's because of the education that was taught to me in my household, but not in school, right? So it's how do we translate this now to the modern world? How do we teach moms to then, teach their kids to be like, hey, if someone has bad period cramps or is going through mood swings, your body's just telling you something, but how can you approach it naturally rather than just put them on birth control to help with their period, pains? Because I've been there. I was on it for a decade. Yeah.
Same. Like it's kind of like ridiculous how like you have these symptoms and they're quickly like so quick to be like birth control.
Yeah.
It's like, are you serious? Like, and to a young girl too. Like I know so many like young girls who are in high school on birth control because of their periods.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's just, there has to be a better way, you know?
I come from a place where I believe birth control is necessary, especially for pregnancy, right? Every woman has a choice, but I'm very, very strong about different alternatives for period health. Like if you are being put on birth control because you have bad period cramps, that's not the best choice. It's only just a Band-Aid solution, but it's not actually helping you on the long run. It's not addressing the root cause, and it's going to cause more detriments in the future because it's stopping your body from talking to your brain. It's literally synthetic hormones, so your brain can't talk to your ovaries to produce your natural progesterone or estrogen, right? Because birth control is, synthetic progestin. It's not what your body creates. And so when you put something in, it creates a pathway that your body doesn't talk anymore. And so it takes time for your body to readjust.
It disrupts that balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Talking about that, what does a healthy period look like from a Chinese medicine perspective?
I love this. So a healthy period, let's say I have a perfect patient that comes in. It rarely happens because we're human, we have emotions, we are stressed, and it's absolutely okay. It's how do we reset that so that we can bounce back, right? Someone who doesn't come in with any PMS symptoms. Sometimes people are like, oh, my breasts get tender. I have mood swings. I have some period cramps. I'm exhausted before my period. That shouldn't happen. You should just have your period that comes every 28 to 30 days because that's regular. So a regular period that comes normal every month, a period that's not painful. So, a healthy period shouldn't be painful for a woman. Pain just means that there's some imbalance happening. The color of the blood we also look at, it shouldn't be clotted. It shouldn't be brown or pale or like super maroon, dark red. It should be nice and red, bright red. We look at everything too. We also look at the connection of emotions tied to it. Healthy period or healthy women's health or hormones, you wouldn't have the mood swings. I do sometimes, and it's very much normal. Well, sorry, it's normalized. It doesn't mean your body is normal. And what else? Oh, also we think about digestion and stools, because a lot of the times during your period, people either get constipated or have loose stools. Again, signifying that your body's off balance somehow, and you can just rebalance and recalibrate it. But yeah, digestive health shouldn't change during your period.
How can we solve the stool problem? Because I know that's a huge topic.
Yeah. I mean, when we think about period health in Chinese medicine and relation to our digestion, right? So we say that in Chinese medicine, our digestion is very much tied to our spleen and stomach. I always like to say spleen because that's, the main organ that's in charge of energy, digestion, stools. It's very much tied to our liver. Liver is the center of hormonal health, but also emotional health in Chinese medicine. So the best way that I can always recommend is if you level out your emotions, like practice breath work, calming your nervous system, making sure that, you find joy in your day that is in the go, go, go. That will actually be the best thing for your digestion because you're going to be in a calm state so you can actually digest.
Perfect. And then so many of us ladies deal with irregular periods, cramps, heavy bleeding, or PMS. I know we talked about that, but how can we treat that by using Chinese medicine?
Again, everyone's individual. And, let's say you come to my clinic, it'll be different for everyone. But I do have some Chinese medicine tools and tips that work for everyone. I mean, the first thing is warmth. We are in the clinic, we're always proponent of warm water, hot water, no cold drinks, right? So on your period, do not drink iced drinks. I'm talking iced coffee, iced matcha, smoothies, because all of that cold is going to make your womb cold and it's going to make your period feel more painful. It's going to, make hormones a little bit more off balance. It's going to change your stool consistency. So during the period, I always say, if you can stick to hot water, warm teas, it's the best. Room temp is fine. You're going to notice transformations in your period health.
I love that. That's kind of similar because I'm Middle Eastern and in our culture, we do use herbs a lot, you know? And growing up, my parents always told me when you're on your period, you make sure your lower back is covered, your feet are warm. You always peppermint tea.
Yes.
And then growing up in America, my peers didn't understand that when I told them. They're like, what are you talking about? No, I'm just going to take Advil, So it's kind of funny how different cultures play into health,
Absolutely. And I always like to, suggest that if you're taking Advil, it's just blocking a pain signal. It's not actually stopping your cramps, right? Maybe the inflammation goes down a bit, but it's not getting to the root cause. Whereas if you drink ginger tea, which is warming, it's anti-inflammatory, it moves things, you're actually getting to the root of the pain. It's moving all that stagnation.
Exactly.
And why not do it naturally,
Exactly.
Without side effects.
Yeah. Exactly. How can women align their lifestyle, diet, exercise, and rest with different phases of their menstrual cycle?
I love this. I mean, just like our body, I always say our body, we're nature beings, right? So we respond to seasons and not just the 4 seasons of the year, summer, autumn, winter, and spring, but we also kind of play that into our cycle for women every month, right? The week of our period, we always say it's the winter. It's the most dormant part of our cycle. We have to take care of our body. It's okay to lean into rest. It's okay to feel tired because all the energy is focusing on shedding, on our menstruation, on, prepping us for a potential baby. So that first week, day 1 to day 7, when we're bleeding, that's when we're supposed to rest, right? And also can line up with workouts where more yoga, walking. You don't have to work out, maybe Pilates. And then the week after, it's almost like springtime. You're transitioning into the peak of summer. And so that's when you can start to lean into more activity, more movement, maybe weighted Pilates now. And then into summertime, which, is kind of the beginning of the luteal phase or where we start to ovulate. It's where most women feel a peak of energy. It's very much like in the summertime, we have so much energy to hang out, to have fun. There's sunshine. We say the yang energy. So that's when you'll incorporate the heavy weights. You can go for a run. Do things that are more active. And then transitioning into right before your period, it's like autumn time, kind of like now, right? Yeah. It's getting cooler. How do we, kind of respond to the seasons? You can still do your heavy weights, maybe, lighten it up a bit. And then you're prepping yourself to then calm down again for your next cycle, in your next period.
with me, like I noticed like the week before my period, like I'll have slight mood swings and then cravings for carbs, which is so funny. And then I'm like, okay, my period's coming.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's nothing wrong, or it doesn't mean that your, body needs shifts or changes. But again, it's just information on what your body needs.
And I do eat carbs a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like
I mean, you're so active. Yes, you need to.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
Exactly. Are there any foods or herbs for different phases of the cycle?
Yes and no. Again, it's very much individualized. I always love, I think a good way to respond to this is what I've been seeing for the most part here in LA for a lot of women who have irregular menstruation or painful menstruation, is that the herbs and the foods that they're eating are too cold for their body, right? It's the salads, it's the smoothies, it's too much fruit. Everything is raw and cold, and our digestion is warm and our womb is warm. We're warm-blooded in general, so how do we nourish that? So it's less about herbs during different cycles, but throughout the entire month, things to focus on is having a protein-rich warm breakfast. It's eggs, or I love to do a savory oatmeal in the morning, or even like a savory congee with eggs and protein. And it doesn't have to be eggs if you don't like eggs. It could be fish, chicken. It could be, flax seeds, chia seeds, beans, right? First thing in the morning before 9 o'clock, because that's when our digestion wakes up. And then focusing on making sure that you nourish your body, especially during menstruation, as we talk about, with warmth, right? Hot water, hot foods, cooked veggies.
I stay away from all the cold stuff, or I try to,
Yeah.
Yeah, I love tea. And I drink my water room temperature. Yeah.
Proud of you.
Thank you. Can your stress influence your menstrual cycle?
100%.
Okay.
So in Chinese medicine, we mentioned the liver, right? The liver in Chinese medicine is very central to emotions. It's our stress, frustration, anger. And in Western medicine, it's very important for balance of hormones. So if we are stressed, if we are not letting our liver reset, it will lead to a unstable menstruation that's probably painful. You're going to have PMS symptoms. And so in Chinese medicine, how do we nourish the liver, right? You can incorporate some herbs, like chrysanthemum tea is amazing to calm inflammation, calm the liver, help with hormones, peppermint tea or spearmint tea. But in Chinese medicine, the most important thing is sleeping before 11 p.m. Because 11 is when, it shifts into the gallbladder liver time of when hormones need to reset and when your body actually starts to heal.
That's interesting. So no more all-nighters, ladies.
Yeah.
Go to bed.
Yeah, go to bed. We need to sleep.
Exactly. It's so vital. And people kind of I feel like people are realizing that too nowadays.
Yeah.
Don't have coffee past 3 p.m., this and that, your body has to go in calm mode a little bit.
It needs to rest. And in Chinese medicine, every organ has a 2-hour window. And the liver is, technically 1 to 3 in the morning, but you need to prep it 2 hours before, right? So it can actually detox and prep the body and regulate the hormones.
That's so wonderful. It's so fascinating.
I know something as simple, just sleep.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow. Are there things women should stay away from during their periods? I know we talked about cold foods. I know that cold plunges are huge. So what are your thoughts?
Definitely don't go on a cold plunge during your period. I come from a space where I have contrast therapy in my clinic, but we have specific, TCM rules, let's say, where if you're on your period, if you go into a cold plunge, it's going to stagnate flow. It's going to affect your body in the long run. Saunas are fine. Don't overdo it because you don't want to oversweat. Everything is important, even, the fluids in our body. So definitely no during your period for cold plunging.
Period. No pun intended.
Yeah. I love that so much. But there's medical backing too,
True.
Even all the research about cold plunging, mostly on men, because men don't have, hormones like we do. It's easier to create a research study around less variables, right?
Exactly.
But also women who love cold plunging for, someone like you, because you're so active, it's totally fine. But during the period, there's other ways, hop into a sauna, move your body, stretch. You don't have to go into a cold plunge.
Exactly. I've actually never done a cold plunge, and I don't ever plan on doing it.
I think that's fine. You're not missing much.
I'm not. I'm it's torture. Why would I do that? I'm already torturing myself in the gym.
Yeah.
Why double it? So a lot of people are curious about hormones and just emotions in general.
Yes.
So what are some signs our body gives us that something's off hormonally?
Yes. I might lean into how every organ has an emotion. Maybe we can start with that. In Chinese medicine, obviously we look at hormones as a way of stability in women's health, but Chinese medicine doesn't have to look at hormones. We look at the imbalance of heat, hot and cold, like yin and yang, or even like dryness, more dampness. And I think that's how we'll start. So in a nutshell, Chinese medicine will look at your body. Are you someone who's colder or hotter, right? Some hormones like progesterone or estrogen will have that cold and hot nature, or testosterone, for example. So a good example is men are more hot and yang in nature because they have more testosterone. Women are more yin in nature and more cold because we have more estrogen, right? And so those are the balances that we play. And so how it ties to emotions is that every organ has an emotion tied to it. Our lungs have grief. Our liver is the anger and frustration. Heart is joy. Our kidneys is fear. What else am I missing? Oh, spleen and digestion is worry and overthinking, right? And so when we feel these emotions during our cycle, whether it's the week before during our, premenstrual time or during the period itself, if I'm overly thinking, worried, and my digestion is weak, that's something that I can work on. I can probably eat a nourishing meal. And that's going to in turn then balance out hormones, right? Because digestion and healthy flow of digestion nervous system is all tied to hormonal health, right? It's just the end of the cascading symptom and kind of the chain of reaction of emotions then affecting hormones. If I'm fearful, if I have anxiety, if I'm having low back pain, right? It's all tied to the kidney health. So how can I nourish that? By covering my kidneys, drinking warm foods, resting, because, kidneys that turn weak is just overworking. That in itself will protect my hormones, then lead to a better menstrual cycle, which means my hormones will balance out.
Oh, wow. I had no idea. It makes so much sense, though, Are there any small routines or herbal remedies that help bring hormones back into balance?
This is a good one. I would always say that after your period, you bleed, you have to replenish it, right? We're not really taught to do that. I think, we are kind of in a mindset where if you bleed, your body's going to naturally rebuild the red blood cells, the iron, the B vitamins. But sometimes you need more of a boost because our body's working out a lot. We're stressed. We're doing so much that our body can't, reset the way that it was supposed to back in traditional Chinese medicine times. We're now in a modern time where most women are working, right? So to boost it with foods and herbs. My favorites are to boost your body with red meat. During and after, just so you have the iron and B vitamins that your body can process, and the protein, right? Bone broths. And if you're vegetarian, my favorite is jujube dates and goji berries, but not to eat it raw. I love to steep it in a tea or like water, let's say, on a low simmer for 10, 15 minutes and then drink the tea because it's so rich in vitamin C and iron and the B vitamins that our body needs post-period.
Interesting. No, I was taught that too. Well, a little bit. Like red meats during your period. But I didn't know about that after. So that's
during and after as well.
Okay.
That's why women crave meat. They're like, I crave meat all the time. I'm like, that's your body telling you that you probably need to eat it,
Yeah. Isn't it so I just find it so fascinating how your body literally tells you what it needs to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And then we're just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. We're intuitive beings and Chinese medicine is all about tuning into that intuition and leading into it, If your body is tired and sore and you don't want to do, a heavy weightlifting day today, perhaps that's not the time because if you do, maybe it's weakening your body. You might get sick after, It's understanding the balances, but also, let's say you have a workout regimen, you play into that too.
That's true. What are common hormone imbalances that you see in women because of modern lifestyles, like overworking, lack of sleep, poor sleep in general?
Definitely overwork. It's interesting where I'm someone who, I'm type A, I'm the go. I love to be busy. It brings you so much joy and excitement, and that's fine. But as women, we have to prioritize that rest. And that rest doesn't mean just like sitting idly, right? Like, what does it mean to you? Is it journaling? Is it meditating? Is it going for a walk in nature? And taking advantage of that, because as much of the yang, what we say is the energy and the energetic movement we have in our body, we have to have that balance of yin. It's that yin and yang symbol that we all have, right? It's the black and the white. It's even completely. So we have to find that balance and evenness in our life as much as possible.
Yeah, I feel that because especially in LA, I feel like resting is kind of, what's the word for it? You're scolded if you rest.
Yeah. It's judged.
Yeah,
almost.
it's judged.
Yeah.
It's oh no, you're lazy.
Yeah, it's because especially women in the modern age, we are, praised and gifted for how busy we are and how much we're doing. And of course we're going to respond to that. But I always remind my community or my patients to be like, you should give yourself a pat on the back when you are resting because it's so hard to prioritize that.
I know I have some friends who literally tell me I feel guilty if I like stay home today
Yeah.
and like take a nap or like, you know, treat myself, like
Yeah.
not work out, not go do this project, that project. I'm like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah. I get it. I mean, I think we're so influenced by the outside environment around us, right? But, you know, again, what do you want at the moment? What does your body need? Yeah,
Exactly.
being okay with it. But it's hard, you know, it's the FOMO that everyone has.
Yeah.
It's the, you know,
Like I'm missing out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or, you know, meeting societal standards.
Exactly. How does Chinese medicine view the emotional component of women's health compared to Western?
It never ignores it. I think in Western medicine, you know, if you have mood swings before a period, they're like, oh, you're just PMSing, but they don't really give a solution to it. Or in Chinese medicine, there's a solution for everything that is natural. Acupuncture, right? I mean, let's say you get acupuncture once a week, you know, for 2 to 3 months. It's so amazing at leveling out your hormones. And I see that with Western medicine lab tests too, you know, without medication. But we have natural herbs and lifestyle adjustments and acupuncture. Like that in itself is so powerful. And so we will never ignore the grief you feel, the exhaustion, but also the stress. Because then again, as I mentioned before, every organ has an emotion. It's tied to that organ. So how can we boost that organ's health or vitality to then lead to a good hormonal cycle?
And then you said with acupuncture, like how does it kind of help with balancing the hormone? Are you guys like targeting like the nerves or like what are we hitting?
So we're targeting the meridian system that we talked about. And each meridian system is tied to an organ itself.
Okay.
And so then we would, you know, let's say your digestion is weak, pre-period, right? You have loose stools or you're constipated. We'll probably hit the stomach or spleen, even the large intestine meridian, right? They all start in the feet and the hands, and then they pass through the organ itself. So that's what we'll target.
Okay.
If you're extra stressed, right? Stress is relevant to the liver. We're going to address the meridian that is relevant to the liver itself and passes through the liver organ too. And so that's what we're doing. We're, you know, it's less about, you know, estrogen or progesterone is spiking. It's more so what are the symptoms you're coming in with today and what is it telling me about your organ imbalance so that we can reset that, because that is going to help your hormones, you know?
Okay. Perfect. And then what small daily habits can women adopt to maintain a hormonal balance and prevent illness?
Again, rest. I think, you know, sleeping before 11 is always recommended in Chinese medicine, because if your body isn't able to rest, your nervous system's not able to reset. And we can only heal in the parasympathetic rest and digest. And if we can't do that, you're going to be in the fight or flight and your body's not going to ever heal, right? And it all plays a role in hormonal health.
And then what are some simple daily habits women can practice to stay in balance with their natural cycles and energy flow?
I think movement is really important, but not overdoing it. It's not like, you know, go run a marathon today. It's go for a walk, or if you want, go lift some weights, right? It's what do you need at the moment in your cycle? I would say the first thing to do is kind of sit with yourself and tune into how much energy you have. If you are energetic today, you know, do something that's more energy inducing, right? You know, the heavy weights, the run. If you're feeling tired, yoga or even qigong or breath work. Breath work is still movement because that's energy movement.
And then I know there's like a lot of trends that goes on social media in regards to health and wellness. I want to see like what your thoughts are on those with like Chinese medicine.
Yeah, fire away. Love this.
Cold plunge, I think we all
Talked about it, yeah.
Cold plunge.
Not on your period. And if you are cold plunging, I always recommend contrast with a sauna as well. Start hot, end hot. The last thing I want to do is having someone leave a cold plunge session where their body's cold for the rest of the day, because that means energy is stuck for the rest of the day. It's not great. It's going to affect you.
So when you say that, like hot and hot, that means like start with the sauna, do the cold plunge sauna, cold plunge, and then end with sauna.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. What are your thoughts on the high protein diet?
I think it's necessary for some people. I love it. I think protein for women is vital. I think it's less about how much protein you're eating, but actually how much your body is absorbing. Because let's say someone has a weak digestion and they're having 4 massive steaks a week. Are you actually absorbing all the protein in that? Like, are you nourishing your body to a point where it can absorb completely? Are your enzymes working, right? And I think a huge part of protein absorption is also tied to nervous system. Are you relaxed when you eat? Are you pairing it with other foods that help with protein absorption or iron, like vitamin C? Are you having red peppers with steaks, or, having citrus with, steaks or spinach, right? It's all important. You have to understand the food groups and know what your body needs.
You said relax when you eat. So that means like try to eat without any like social media or like phone in your hand, scrolling and eating?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, because let's say we're scrolling on Instagram, we're craving the dopamine hit, our body's probably in the fight or flight, just craving something, right? But if you're able to put your phone away, I always say start every meal with 3 deep breaths. Close your eyes, breathe into your belly 3 times. It takes what, like 10, 15 seconds? It's the best way to regulate your nervous system because you have your fight or your flight, which is, the opposite from rest and digest. It's the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic, right? And if you eat in the parasympathetic rest and digest state, you're actually going to be able to digest the food and process and absorb all the nutrients.
Perfect. And then what are your thoughts on like intense training, like high rocks or like marathon training in general?
I
As
love
a
it.
woman.
I think it's absolutely great. I think you have to have the specific body and energy for it, right? I don't, let's say someone is having irregular periods, light periods, and they're exhausted all the time and they're training for a marathon. It's likely going to make you weaker and lead to more detrimental ailments in the future, right? But if you're someone who's prepping for it, if you feel strong, if you are sleeping well, if you're eating well, and you're excited about it, go for it, right? It's all about balance and everyone is different.
Perfect. And then I know we love the sauna, so you recommend the sauna.
I do, but I always have to say that everything in balance. I do always say that, let's say a sauna every day or hot yoga every day where you're sweating so much for women is likely not the best for you because as women, we are more yin in nature. All the fluids are important because we bleed. We need the blood and the fluids. In Chinese medicine, the yin nature, so the blood and, all the kind of wetness to make our skin glow, to give us energy. If we lose it all through sweat, because sweat is a component of our blood, right? We're going to get dry, we're going to get thirsty, we're going to get tired. So it's all about balance at the end of the day.
Red light therapy. What are your thoughts?
I love a lot of research about red light therapy, though I think to understand the nature of it is important. Red light therapy, we say it's hot and invigorating in nature. And let's say you are someone with rosacea or eczema or skin issues that lean into that pathology, right? Where you're more hot in nature. It could aggravate it or make it worse. I actually just came from a conference where I was learning about red light therapy absorption into our mitochondria and for energy and ATP, right? But we have 4 complexes in our mitochondria. Red light therapy is only absorbed by the 4th, I believe, or maybe the 3rd. But anyways, and the other 1st or 2nd, you have different wavelengths that absorb it. So let's say someone has red light therapy, because I've had some people come to me, they're just like, red light therapy has made me feel worse. It's made me feel sicker. Then it gives me an idea of, oh, I think your constitution or your body was too hot in nature, or the other components of your mitochondrial health are blocked in the first 2 complexes, right? So maybe try green light or blue light, try something else that your body's able to absorb.
That's so interesting. I've never heard about that one before.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Thoughts on intermediate fasting for women or just fasting in general for women?
Chinese medicine doesn't like it.
Okay.
And let me tell you why. So let's say a lot of people like to intermittent fast and skip breakfast. Breakfast is probably the most important thing for women, especially hormonal health. But it's also one of the most important things for Chinese medicine in terms of our energy or qi. The reason for that is that, how I spoke about how every organ has a 2-hour window? Our spleen and stomach is 7 to 9 and 9 to 11. So the stomach is 7 to 9, meaning we have to eat, right? And those peak times mean that the organs need to be nourished. So if you can have a protein-rich breakfast that is warm, ideally, between 7 and 9, your body is able to then take it in, and it's going to strengthen the stomach's ability to then feed it into the spleen in Chinese medicine, which then moves, transports, and transforms the fluid and foods then into your intestines, where then all the nutrients is absorbed, right? So if you're able to take advantage of that time, you're going to feel so much better as a woman.
And then I know that you spoke a lot about no cold drinks. Why should we not have cold drinks?
I think there's a few reasons. I mean, cold drinks are stagnant. We're warm-blooded. Why are we putting something in our body that's slowing metabolism, right? Why are we putting something in our body that stagnates any energy flow or blood flow? I think people find it refreshing, but there's actually a paradoxical issue where if you had cold drinks, it's actually going to cause more inflammation and heat in the body because your body is working harder to warm it, right? Like if we actually care and want to treat our body gently, if we feed our body with hot or warm water that matches our body temperature, it doesn't have to work on overdrive to warm it before it can actually absorb it, right? It's something that I grew up only drinking like room temp or hot water. It's not really readily available in Hong Kong or China. You go to a dim sum restaurant, it's, to find cold water, you have to go to like a 7-Eleven to get it.
Yeah. You know
Mhm.
what? That's so interesting, but it makes so much sense.
Mhm.
Like I recently like heard about that, like room temperature or just like warm drinks in general,
Mhm.
and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like why? Because like your body's temperature, and then you're putting like something so like extremely
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
into your body.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes to balance, right?
Mhm.
How do we get as close to homeostasis and balance as possible? If you're warm and you put something cold, it's going to take time for that to warm up to then meet you in the middle. But if you put something that's closer to your body temperature, your body doesn't have to work on overdrive to then, fix that balance.
And then I know that you spoke about cold drinks and dampness and how that makes your digestion weaker, which creates loose stools and bloating.
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Yes, absolutely. I love this because I think it's something that most of us experience in terms of dampness. One of the key signs of dampness is a white tongue coating. I think most people in this day and age experience it, whether it's transient or whether it's something they notice every day. And then they just kind of tongue scrape it off. And I'm like, that's just a Band-Aid solution. We can get into that later too. But what happens is that, let's say you drink an iced matcha or iced coffee or iced water. You're putting it into your digestive system. Your digestive system is warm. So again, if it's cold, your digestive system has to work on overdrive to warm it up before then it absorbs anything you're drinking or eating. And so over time, the spleen and the stomach get weaker and weaker and weaker. And that's what leads to dampness, right? Dampness is when the fluids get stuck, they're stagnant, you feel heavy, you feel lethargic because the fluids aren't moving because everything is just cold and slow. And so to speed it up, you add warmth, right? It's balance. It's the hot, cold, it's the slow, fast. So how can we actually help our metabolism? And a good way to understand it from a Western standpoint is that our enzymes, our digestive enzymes work best when it's warm. It's about 37, 38 Celsius or 98 Fahrenheit, right? So if you're putting something cold and making that colder, your enzymes aren't working at its optimal temperature to then process and break down food.
Is that why we bloat sometimes?
Exactly. Dampness also leads to bloating, right? Because then your body, it's like your spleen and stomach, your digestive organs are off kiltered and off balance. And so it's trying to warm everything up. And so all the energy is focused on warming, not digesting. And so that's why you bloat. That's just kind of a way to think of it. Obviously, there's many other ways and to explain
Causes,
it.
yeah.
Exactly. But that's what's happening from a Chinese medicine standpoint.
Interesting. And I know you like said that like your womb likes to be warm.
Yes.
I want to hear the nitty-gritty parts of that.
Of course. I mean, when you think about comfort for us, we are nice and cozy in our blankets at night, right? And so in Chinese medicine, in order for our womb to house a fetus, that's how we say it in Chinese medicine, our womb needs to be warm. It needs to feel protected. It needs to feel comfortable for a fetus. And, there's a lot of different root causes that can lead to infertility or miscarriages. But something that I have seen more than often, and especially here in the Western world, is that a lot of women's wombs are cold. And what leads to cold wombs are, a cold and raw diet. It's the smoothies, it's the juices, it's the salads, it's the iced drinks. But it's also not protecting this area. I think, there's a trend of workout gear and, you have the crop tops and the shorts, and I wear it too. It's cute, it's comfy, right? But are you protecting this area? And so during the period or, when women are trying to conceive, you always have to protect this area and keep it warm.
At all times, not just like during
At all
your-
times, correct. At all times. And like wear socks. That's why in Chinese households, you're always given slippers or, you have your mom telling you wear socks or wear, house slippers because it protects your feet.
Oh, I had no idea. That's so cool. The Western world is obsessed with treating skincare with products externally. I know that Chinese medicine has a different approach to skincare. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes, 100%. It's holistic. I love skincare. It's my passion. It's interesting where, yes, skincare products are awesome, but what is in it? Is it something that is holistic? Is it a nitty-gritty compound like vitamin C or retinol, right? Or a vitamin A precursor. But what else can we do for the body holistically if you put it on your skin, right? Can you put an herb on your skin that covers all different aspects of what you need? But also, can we eat our skincare, right? It's a balance of both. And so in Chinese medicine, healthy skin means that there's blood flow to the face and that there is nourishment that comes from our fluids. And so From an external standpoint, what's awesome is skincare with Chinese medicine herbs, like Moonbo, which we'll talk about later, that include herbs like tremella mushrooms, which is very nourishing. It's, nature's hyaluronic acid, or even chrysanthemum, which is very nourishing, but also it calms inflammation. But all of these herbs that you put on your skin, you can also eat or consume. So like, can you drink chrysanthemum tea? Can you incorporate tremella mushrooms in your stews or soups? So it's how do you find these things that are holistic and natural and consume them internally, but also put them in your skin externally.
And then you said blood to the face. Is that why gua sha is a huge thing?
Exactly, right. Because gua sha increases blood flow.
Okay.
That's why people love cosmetic acupuncture, because it actually repairs the skin, invites collagen rebuild, but also increases blood flow instead of freezing everything,
Okay. You know what? It's so funny because in the beginning, when I heard about gua sha, it was on TikTok, and someone's like, "Oh, it's like my facelift." Like I got, and I was like, "Wait, it has to be something a little bit more like in depth than that."
That's
so now that you said it,
yeah, I mean, gua sha is amazing, and I think there's specific ways to gua sha correctly from a Chinese medicine standpoint, because gua sha is a Chinese medicine tool. It's an aspect of the medicine, right? And thousands of years ago, gua sha was used more so on the body to help with healing, right? It's harder scrapes, before with a coin, with a spoon to increase blood flow, but also to help with things like pain or to help expel toxins for colds or even sore throats. And then now in the modern world, it's been shifted for beauty and skincare. And so we have to treat it differently. You're not going to scrape your skin like you did, like what we did in the medicine 3,000 years ago, because it's going to ruin your skin. But how can you gently activate the meridians on the face that connect to your digestion, to your hormones, to your body? How do we, create that blood flow to then lift the face, right? How do we relax muscles but activate it too?
And then I know we talked about eating your skincare, and we talked about tremella mushrooms. Why are tremella mushrooms beneficial for our skin? Why are goji berries beneficial for our skin? I know there's another...
Jujube dates.
Yeah, my mom's obsessed
it's all
with
over
those.
TikTok.
Yeah, but why?
Yes. So the reasoning for why all three of the herbs are awesome, it's because it increases our yin, which is our fluids in our body's cooling system. And also these herbs also increase blood flow, right? As I mentioned, it's blood flow to the face and energy and chi movement to the face. And so tremella mushrooms, again, nature's hyaluronic acid, when you eat it or make something, a stew or a soup or a tea from it, you notice that it's so dense and rich in the fluids. And so when you're consuming it, your body's able to translate the fluids and move it up to your face through that blood flow, right? And that's why it's so good for you. Jujube dates and goji berries in general are so awesome for your chi, your energy. So it moves everything to the face, but also blood, right? As women, we need nourished blood. And most women nowadays, I would say, they're a little bit blood deficient. It doesn't mean that their blood is not healthy. It just means that you can boost kind of the hemoglobin rich cells or boost the B vitamins or the iron. And so that's why goji berries and jujube dates are red in nature and so good. They're good for your blood.
Interesting. And then while we're on the topic of skincare, I know you have Moonbo. How is Moonbo different than other skincare?
So it's based on Chinese medicine principles. And so everything that we bring into it are Chinese medicine herbs, but also integrated with Western innovation and science. Moonbo is a way to share Chinese medicine with the world. And so I created it with my twin sister, Heather. And because we grew up with Chinese medicine in our household, it both healed us. I had pretty bad acne a few years ago. Heather had gut issues, and we all kind of started developing this when we moved to the US for college. And so we wanted to share this medicine with the world. And to us, beauty and skincare made the most sense because it's accessible. People love it, but how do we actually incorporate Chinese medicine herbs to make it good, right? Like growing up, we put chrysanthemum on wounds, or even pearl powder. Pearl powder is, one of the hero ingredients in our moisturizer. It's that purple one there, right? And it looks like a pearl when you open it, but pearl powder in traditional Chinese medicine was actually used on the skin to heal wounds, but brighten complexion. So like ancient emperors and empresses would put it on their skin as a face mask. And so we're like, okay, how do we incorporate that into modern day medicine and make it accessible and understandable? And so that's why it's completely different. There's no skincare out there that exists this way, where we're trying to merge the East and West and trying to share our culture with the Western world.
I think it's so unique. Like, I've never heard about like Chinese medicine meshed with skincare and making it like so accessible to people. So I love how you invented Moonbo.
Thank you.
So excited to use it.
It's been so fun. You're gonna love it. I'm so excited.
I love skincare.
You have to. Oh my god, you have to tell me how you like all three products. And
100%.
I use it every single day, morning and night.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I will too. I mean, your skin's flawless, literally. If you had to pick 3 supplements, what would they be and why?
Ooh, can I do like herbs or like food as medicine, or do you want supplements?
Kind of curious about all 3.
Okay. Maybe I'll share both. I'll start with supplements.
Okay.
I mean, supplementation, I just have to preface, I think is really important and you need it when you need it. Like when I'm suggesting and sharing what I like, I think the last thing I want to do is for every girl to reach for it because it may not be right for you. So the first supplement that I really, really love that I use personally is B12. And for me, the reasoning is that I was on birth control for over a decade. Hormonal, I was on the pill, and being on the pill, it reduces the absorption of B12 because you need something called an intrinsic factor in your gut to absorb it. And being on birth control really reduced that. That's why when I got off birth control, my body was so B vitamin deficient. So B12 is something that I've been taking every day for a little bit, but I don't take it all the time. I take it after my period or in moments where I feel more fatigue. So tune into your body and whether you need it. B12 is something that, you can not overdose, but if someone takes too much B12, it can cause acne. So you have to be careful with the balance and whether it's right for you. So that's what I love. Another supplement that I like, I'm going to go more an herbal route because there's a lot of herbal supplements. For women's health, I would say is Dongui. It's called Angelica sinensis. It's in a lot of women's health supplementation now. And the reason why Dongui is so amazing for the body in Chinese medicine is because it moves the blood and it tonifies the blood, right? And so if we're having period cramps, it moves it, but also if we're losing blood, it tonifies it and boosts it back up. That's amazing.
What do you mean tonify?
Tonify is to boost it. So let's say we lose it, it tonifies boosting back up. So it's adding that blood back.
Okay.
That's amazing. But again, with Chinese medicine herbs, we never take it individually. It's always combined. And another one, I love spearmint. Spearmint as an herb itself, but also in a tea. It's so lovely for the body because it's cooling. It helps detox the liver. It's amazing for a lot of PCOS because there's a component in it that helps with high androgens, whether it's high testosterone. I love it. And then chrysanthemum tea is my fourth.
Why chrysanthemum? Why? Sorry, I can't pronounce
that's okay. The chrysanthemum. It's so funny. It's our hue ingredient. And I was like to my sister Heather, I'm like, no one can pronounce it. Maybe that's really an issue. But it's a nice yellow flower. And the reason why I love it, it's just sacred and dear to me. Heather and I grew up drinking it with dim sum. And the reason why you have it with dim sum, because dim sum can be heavy and cloying. Chrysanthemum is the opposite. It's cooling and it clears what we say toxic heat and toxicity in the body. So it calms inflammation. But it's also amazing for liver health and it's amazing for skin health.
So it's like a great detoxifier.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so for someone who's listening and who's new to Chinese medicine, what's one simple change she can start with?
I think to tune in with your body and be intuitive. I think that's the number one rule of working with holistic and alternative health, but also medicine that's rooted in, thousands of years of medicine, but also nature. Just be intuitive, sit with yourself, kind of pay attention to what hurts, whether you're tired, what you need, listen to those cravings and see what that actually tells your body that's, whether it's off balance or not. And then second, obviously hot water if you can, or maybe less about drink hot water, but pause on ice drinks.
I agree. I agree. If every woman could understand one thing about her body that Western medicine doesn't usually teach, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I mean, again, everything that your body's telling you is information. I mean, don't ignore it. Don't ignore your period cramps to then say, oh, I'm just going to take Advil or Midol. Your body's telling you something like, why do you have cramps? I would just encourage people to be curious and to look out for solutions, follow other Chinese medicine channels, kind of dive into medicine, use me as a resource if you need, but ask questions.
I agree. It's crazy because my entire life I dealt with the most awful periods ever.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And then it's okay. And then it's so funny how I'm it's okay. That's how every woman is, I feel like.
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay. It's that time of the month. Yeah.
But for the first time ever, my most recent cycle, I had no crazy symptoms. And I think it's because I made these changes, no more ice cold drinks. I used to have my protein shakes every single day, I kind of toned down on that.
Yeah.
So, and then didn't have any crazy period cramps where I'm dying in my bed, So
and
it's
just
insane.
even, small adjustments like that do wonders for the body.
Yeah. It's wow, I suffered for 10 plus years with this.
Yeah.
And where can listeners find you or learn more about your work, practice? Where can they buy Moonbo?
So I share a lot of Chinese medicine content on my channels, my Instagram and TikTok, it's Dr. Felice Chan. And then for skincare specific, we share a lot of skincare health on Moonbo's channel, which is Moonbo_skin on Instagram and TikTok. And then for my clinic, it's Felice Acupuncture Clinic, and it's also feliceacupuncture.com. That's where, if you're in LA and curious about getting acupuncture treatments and getting personalized, herbal advice, I have an amazing team. I have 4 practitioners in clinic, women's health specialists, pain specialists, and we love to work integratively together.
Perfect. And then you're based in LA, correct?
I'm based in LA.
So the practice is in LA.
My practice is in Culver City.
Okay.
I get to say it's pretty central to the west side and the east side. Yeah. And then for Moonbo, again, there's the website, and we have so much fun information about the herbs that I shared, like the chrysanthemum or pearl powder. We have all the herbal education on it.
Oh, I love this. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Nona. This was so fun.
I know. I loved it. I felt like I was talking to my bestie,
Thank you for having me. That's engaging questions.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope you ladies love this episode. And I know you guys are going to love Dr. Chan. So there's that.
Thank you.
Bye. The content of this show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical or mental health advices and does not constitute or provide a patient-provider relationship. I'm just your bestie. I am not a licensed therapist or professional, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician or other qualified professional. As always, talk to your doctor, healthcare provider, or professional. Talk to you soon. Bye.